You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage, and push you to a new edge of discovering what that big CEO energy means for you. Listen, I understand that we have barriers that we carry from when we were once employees, and those have impacted us as we continue to build our businesses. I'm here to walk alongside you and give you encouragement through interviews with friends and other women in business who have broken down those barriers and paved their own way. Tune in with me as we uncover some of the unconscious things that we do that keep us from building that big CEO energy we've always dreamed about. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of That Big CEO Energy. And we all know that this is the podcast where we talk all about empowering women entrepreneurs to really unleash their inner CEO. And if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Kallai, and today we have a special episode that's all about celebrating your wins. You know, as women entrepreneurs, we're often so focused on our next big goal or our next big challenge that we often forget to pause and really acknowledge our achievements. But celebrating your wins, no matter really how small, is not only essential for your mental and emotional well-being, but it's also the key driver to future success. Why is it so important to celebrate your wins? Well, for one, it's a powerful way to really boost your confidence. And I feel like we don't take enough time to really work on our confidence. There is this thing on social media that you just got to find your confidence. You just have to find your confidence. What is that? And I think it can be a little overwhelming because we start to think that it is some place that we need to reach. It is some place that we need to arrive to, and then everything will be great, right? And then we can really start acknowledging who we are. We can really start celebrating who we are. But the truth is that each time you acknowledge your accomplishments, you're really reinforcing the belief in yourself and your abilities. It is not something that you are searching from an external source. It is not something that you are asking from anyone else, but it really is this acknowledgement within yourself that, hey, yeah, like I freaking did that, man. Like, wow. And it is not something that is self-centered, right? Because here's the thing. When we are on social media, when we see, and I'm just going to use our bodies, for example, and this is going to touch a little bit of a nerve, but when we see obese people or see people that are not quote unquote fit into the skinny, which what is even that, but fit into what our idea that we show up to social media with, our idea of skinny. When we don't see people in there, it is like, oh my gosh, they're so unhealthy. Oh my gosh, they're so unhealthy. So then, right? Then said person starts working out. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes, good for you. Way to be. Woo, woo, woo. We're doing all of this like boosting of their confidence. And then they get fit and they start posting a little more online. They start, maybe they've moved from a t-shirt to a crop top, right? But now it's too much. Now you have too much confidence. Now, wait. Now you're just showing off. Where is the line in which we just let people live their lives? Where's that? Because I want to live in that where I can objectively look at someone and say, oh my gosh, she's really feeling herself. That is freaking awesome. And then when it gets to the point where that's what they're posting every day, they feel really, really good and they have self-confidence that they are really showing everybody what they are doing. It is not for me to say, whoa, 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 now you have to pump the brakes. In the same way in which if somebody is just living an ordinary life in their ordinary body and it doesn't look like what you perceive to be as quote unquote normal, and they have confidence and they are exuding said confidence out into the world and showing off their life online because they feel confident to do so, it is not for me to say, you look really unhealthy, or maybe you should start working out. Let them live their confident life. Like, I am just so over, and I hope that you are too. I am so over this vacillating between what is too much, what is not enough. Can we just let people live their life, whatever that looks like, and not have an opinion? Because here's the thing. If we give people too much of our opinion, we look like the idiots. We look like we are trying to shepherd people's lives. And I'm sorry, but if you are not paying their bills, which even if you are, you shouldn't have an opinion. But if you're not paying their bills, if you are not taking care of them one-on-one, if you are not their parent, if you are not anyone that has an influence in their life, guess what? You do not get authority to tell them how much confidence they can or cannot have. Okay? You are not paying their bills. If people want to be out on social media, living their whole best life in whatever body or whatever frame of mind, you let them do that. Because here's the thing. As a Christian, as someone who really, really understands what it is like to have complete strangers online come at you for no reason, I just want to pray for them. I just want to pray for them. Because my prayer and my wish for them would be, Lord, thank you for giving them confidence. But also let them be mindful of where their confidence is taking them. Let them be a light for you. And that's it. That is it. So I'm going to circle back here because I feel like I have gotten right on a soapbox. But I think I'm just kind of over it, to be very honest and frank. It's not just about patting yourself on the back, right? Celebrating your wins can also help you stay motivated and maintain the positive mindset, especially during challenging times. So again, when you see somebody who is on the train of and if you are this person, right? If you are shining in your confidence and you are sharing your life with the world and you are on the train of having a positive mindset, guess what? Keep doing what you're doing. Because when you recognize your progress, you're more likely to stay committed to your goals. Let me say that again. When you recognize your progress, you're more likely to stay committed to your goals. I didn't say when everyone else recognizes your progress, you're more than likely to stay committed to your goals. I also didn't say when social media recognizes your progress, you're more than likely to stay committed to your goals. What I said is when you recognize your progress, you're more than likely to stay committed to your goals. It has nothing to do with anyone else. So let's kind of table that, move that aside, because what does it look like when we have different ways to celebrate wins? And the answer is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach, right? So it's really important to find what resonates with you. Let me say that again. It's really important to find what resonates with you. So some of the things that have really helped me kind of take my confidence to a next level or really celebrate my wins is have a reflection time period. Really take some time to journal, meditate on achievements, reflect on sort of the journey that I've been on and sort of the growth that has happened. Because I think sometimes we tend to overlook the growth and we jump from what happened on day one to what's happening today. And we don't really settle in the middle to understand what happened there. We don't really unpack kind of what the journey was like. But I think ultimately, one of the things and one of the ways that you can do that is sharing with a friend or sharing with someone that you really, really trust that is a mentor. And celebrating together really can make this moment even special. You know, I've mentioned quite a few times that we have the Tuesday and Thursday room on Clubhouse that is still blooming for a cup of joy. And I know that that is a time that I can come in and I can celebrate some wins because what is my cup of joy, right? No matter how small or how big it is. But I oftentimes choose things that are in my path that I need to celebrate. I need to really give myself props for because it was either really hard, I didn't know how to do it in the first place, or I was pressed for time and somehow I made it all come together. But celebrating those little things in a small group of people that I know, every single woman that is in that group truly has a heart for celebrating each other. When I show up to that group, I know that there are two things that it's going to be met with. The same celebration that I would give myself, but then they're calling out really particular things that maybe I didn't even think about that I need to celebrate for myself. And sometimes, to be very honest, I don't show up with a cup of joy. But I still have that same group of friends that says, but look at this thing in the middle. Look at the good thing that is coming out of this. Look at yes, it's really, really tough right now, but let's go beyond that. Let's really explore what that means. But I wouldn't have otherwise had that experience if I didn't go and find a trusted group of individuals that I know without a shadow of a doubt has my back. And maybe it's just one person for you, right? Or maybe you don't even have someone. Maybe you're looking around the room and you're going, yeah, this is really great, but who do I have that I can even call? Guess what? You get to now slide into my Instagram and we are now best friends. And I will celebrate you until the cows come home. So if you don't have someone and even if you're not feeling it, right? Even if you need a little bit of joy because you're going through something really, really, really tough and you don't have somebody to kind of walk through that with you, girl, I'm here for you. Girl, I'm here for you. Slide into my Instagram and let's be best friends. But even if you don't have someone, right, you still have an opportunity that you get to celebrate yourself. And I love treating myself. And maybe it's treating yourself to something you love. It could be like small indulgences or maybe a bigger reward that you've been eyeing. But I have this little game that I play with myself. I love coffee. I'll share that with you until I'm blue in the face. I love all things coffee. And so one of the things that I have been doing is I have Bible study that needs to get done every day. I have other morning routines that I need to get done. And so I will say to myself, you have to drink your 32-ounce cup of water. You have to complete X, Y, and Z before you get your cup of coffee. And boy, does that help me out. But in the same sense for business, right? If I take that and flip that to my business, it is you need to be making X amount of dollars before you can hire an assistant. Or I need to be, posting this many times in a month in order for me to, I don't know, purchase this thing. Whatever that looks like for you, set yourself a goal. Set the goals. Use your wins as stepping stones to set new and exciting goals, because celebrating can be a great way to gain momentum for what's next. I also want to emphasize the importance of celebrating your team's wins if you have one. Acknowledging their contributions and successes really can foster a positive work environment and strengthen your team morale. So even if you have a team of contractors, right? And they're not employees, they are still a team. They are still making sure that your business is functioning in the way in which you have always dreamed, hopefully. If they are doing that, we are not waiting for big milestones to be able to say to them, thank you so much for all of your hard work. I would rather, and this is just me, but I know that there are tons of people that function on teams that also say the same thing. I would rather be rewarded for the small things than wait for the big things. Because here's the thing. The small things are the little things that add up to the big thing. And if all I'm getting is praise at the end result, then it doesn't matter how shitty I am from the time the project starts to the time that we get to the end result. And so as long as I'm getting it done, who cares, right? Because that's where the acknowledgement is. But if somebody is coming to me and saying, Kallai, you are, you're doing such great things. I see you really leading the team every day. I see you really struggling to find the problems, and then you find the answer. And I just want you to know how much that's appreciated. And I want you to know that you fostering this positive work environment really lights me up every day. And I genuinely love my business because of the things that you do. When you can say that to people, and even if it's not something grand and granular, right? Maybe it is they went above and beyond because they wanted to and they weren't asked. That is a cause for you to say, thank you so much for acknowledging the extra need that I had that I didn't even know that I had. And thank you for doing that and thinking of me. My gosh, could you imagine if when we were in corporate, those things happened? And not just, hey, guys, thanks for doing this big project that yield $1.1 million. We really appreciate all your efforts. Here's a $10 gift card. I don't give a shit about a $10 gift card. I don't care. But I do care when I'm showing up on a particular hard day. I do care when I am coming to the table with a different thought. And someone says, you know what? I didn't even think of that. Thank you so much for sharing your brain with me this morning. I really appreciate that. That is a totally different perspective than I ever could have gained. Those are the moments that matter. And if you have a team, I'm asking you now, another soapbox moment. I'm asking you to look around the meeting room and see who you can directly go to and celebrate. And if it's everyone, guess what? Take the time to celebrate everyone. If it is someone who you recognize seems to have done things, really, really well up until this point, and maybe now they're struggling. Maybe now they have a different attitude. Maybe some things have changed and you're writing it off as, oh, well, maybe, they're just pissed. Why are they pissed? Why are they showing up differently? Because I think you then creating a personal approach and saying, hey, how's everything going? You want to go grab lunch with me today? I'd love to have you come with me to lunch. Not even asking, right? What's wrong? Is something happening at home? Is there something I can help you with? I noticed that you've been doing X, Y, and Z, and well, that's not super great. My God, just take them a cup of coffee. Take them to lunch. Ask them what their favorite candy bar is and come back the next day and just say, I just thought maybe I'd give you an extra little pick-me-up today. I hope your day's going great. And, my office door is always open if you ever need anything. These are small signs and small wins that you can give yourself and the people that you work around, the team that you have, so that everybody comes together as a cohesive unit and you start to really recognize not just what other people are doing great, but what you're doing great too. Think about your day. You're really struggling on, researching something and you just can't find the answer. Like, how many times has that happened to us where you're like, I know what I need to ask Google, and I can't seem to put my brain to words, and then all of a sudden you get it and there's all these results and you're like, I knew it was somewhere. Girl, celebrate that. Celebrate it. Because guess what? You had to do something different and you had to allow your brain to think differently. And that is a small win too. And small wins matter too. It's not just about the big and flashy ones, right? In fact, the small wins often lead to the big breakthrough moments, right? That I just described. So don't underestimate the power of celebrating progress, no matter how incremental it may seem. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a moment this week to celebrate one of your wins, no matter how small. And if you feel comfortable, share it with me on social media using the hashtag CEO Energy Wins. I would love to celebrate you because here's the thing. When we celebrate each other, when you're in community, we gain momentum to be bigger and stronger. We gain momentum to have an exorbitant amount of energy that keeps us going. Remember, your journey is worth celebrating, and you have the power to create your own success. Until next time, keep embracing that big CEO energy. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you heard something that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people just like you become inspired to move the needle of their big CEO energy into a positive direction. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me. And don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.